Hello and welcome to the Temple of Tomes with your host, Indie Comics Jones. Today is September 5th, 2021, and this is episode 403. Today's comic is Engine Ward. This is coming out from Vault Comics. This is issue number 11 of 12, and what we have here on the cover is Ares. This also comes in at a whopping $3.99, I might add, as well. So each one of the covers, pretty much except for the first one, had a celestial on it, and the celestial is based on the zodiac sign. So sometimes they look kind of like what you'd expect a alien with zodiac-like features, and other times it's harder to tell exactly who they are. And unfortunately, I've been pretty much liking this comic all along until this issue 11. And this is the big climax, pretty much, to what's been building up for a while. We had a nice chase scene across the planet of a future Earth that has been decimated by drought and disease and all kinds of things. And that enabled the Celestials to come in and take over. And they're using up all the resources for their own benefits, while the inhabitants of Earth, and there's all kinds of inhabitants, there's things they call shades, and there's monsters, and all kinds of weird things, are basically starving or dying of thirst. So things have not been going bad. Last issue, the people from Shiptown have risen up and have decided to go against the Celestials and their army. Their mind-controlled army. Okay, so let's take a quick look to see who worked on it. First of all, we've got written by George Mann, art is by Joe Esma, and he does a pretty good job. Colored by Michael Garland, nice job by Michael, and lettered by Hassan, Otsmane-Elhaou, or Hru. I guess that's how you'd say it. And we start off with our fortifications at the Celestials' palace right off the beginning. And I can't even remember who this guy is. Obviously he's not Ares the Ram, but he's some other brute. So maybe he's Taurus the Bull. That's who I think he is. Taurus the Bull. Okay, and Virgo is kind of trying to take everything over for herself here. So we get this nice shot of all the palace forces with these modern weapons and everything. And way in the distance, you can kind of see what they call the rabble army coming out of Shiptown to take on the Celestials and try to take back the Terran seed, which they believe will create a new Earth, a new lush Earth, but it has been absconded by the Celestials. So after a brief period here of them mulling around, so they basically are going to attack with pitchforks and torches, whereas they've got missiles, they've got all kinds of machinery, plus this huge spear-armed army as well. Plus the Celestials all have superpowers. Now a couple of them have been killed. I believe one by the Rabble army and at least one by Virgo's group. Now, and I believe we have 3 of the Celestials actually imprisoned at this time as well. So we get this back and forth. Now, one of the things that really kind of comes out here is the main character should be, to me, is Ichabod. He's like very interesting guy. But after the first issue, they kind of made him sit in the back seat. Well, Josh, who can't do anything right except everything perfectly, has kind of taken over. She is the engine ward. She's the one that can figure out everything. She is a Mary Sue character, as it turns out. So that kind of hurt this comic, I think. It should have had the stronger male lead, and he's gushing over her, and she kind of gushes over him a little bit. But I'm assuming that they're going to get together in the final issue. But also there's some profanity in here, and it just doesn't seem to fit with this comic. That was another issue. And then we also get this little side narration going on that doesn't seem to fit with the action, and it's very forgettable as you go through the story. So we got a number of things in here that I didn't care for that have been kind of continuing from issue to issue. However, I thought the story itself was pretty good. Now, Mike, the reason I'm not really recommending this particular issue is the fight itself is very confusing. It's hard to tell what goes on. Ichabod did pick up some kind of powers, but they were never really described what they were. But as we see, Ares turns into this kind of ghost bull all of a sudden, and we're not sure what kind of powers he's displaying. But things start going really bad for the Rabble army right off the bat. As you can see, there's certain people that are kind of, they would normally be inhabitants of Shiptown, but they're under mind control, and they're actually helping the Celestials' army take on the advancing Rabble army. Now we got the Gemini twins here. They're both pretty evil. I think there's one that's a little bit more evil than the other one. And our group is quickly surrounded. Now you can see this Taurus spirit is kind of attacking. And things are not going well. Then Ichabod stands up and he does this thing that it's not really... I know he got some power when he was healed from some disease, but they never really explained it. And so now he can suddenly knock out people without much trouble. There's the shade that is helping them, the Rabble army, is also in there. But as Ichabod just continues to take down these other soldiers by a means we're not quite sure of. And then we have the shade finally giving in to the attacking army. But wait, he gives them one last present as well, which seems to be what Ichabod's doing. So it's not really clear what the heck's going on, except that the tide has turned in this war. So Ichabod continues to use these power rays, which it would be more interesting if he just used his physical strength. He's a really strong guy. In the first issue, he kills this huge monster. And as you can see, they're still getting taken down. Now, Taurus is still using his bull to run through the army, but Ichabod uses his power to stop the bull. As this narration goes on, I couldn't figure out what it was supposed to mean. And this was another weird part. We got this guy here. I'm not sure who he is, but he attacks the main group of the rebels, and he's killing them off pretty quickly. He attacks Thracia here. As you can see, she gets slashed. But as she's laying on the ground, suddenly he's got a dagger in his chest, and I'm not sure what the heck happened there, but he falls down dead. And as the other guards start falling as well. So the tide has turned. Virgo kind of leaves her post, goes back inside, and starts demanding answers from some of the android robots that she's got hooked up. They lock her out as this guy stands on, and I cannot remember what celestial he is, but he's kind of mocking her a little bit, but he's just telling her she should just kind of give up and regroup. Meanwhile, Taurus is upset that Virgo has disappeared. They've approached the palace, and they go inside with this is Creek the robot. He's kind of a smart aleck robot. Not too much in this issue. He's pretty quiet. And one of the Gemini twins gets the jump on the two of them here, and that's how it ends. So not a very... Some of the drawing here is wonderful, but just the fighting itself didn't make a lot of sense. It's very confusing. We will get the final issue. I'm not sure who this is on the cover here. There's Sagittarius was also in this. I do believe she gets taken down, but I don't really remember seeing her getting killed. They mentioned that she is dead, though, as well. So, Earth is an ancient myth. Man, this is a tough one. I'm not going to give it the recommend, this particular issue. It's just too confusing. The first 10 I did recommend, even though it has its faults. I thought the story itself was interesting enough. But I'm going to stick around for the 12th, just see what happens. And that's kind of what I got going on with this one. So thanks for stopping by and listening to this review. As always, please like, please subscribe if you haven't. Please leave comments. We'll see you next time at the Temple of Tomes. This is Indie Comics Jones, way behind in my comic book reading. Got a lot going on in the personal life here, so thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time. I'm bidding you adieu.